of over the weekend. He's been over at TEDx Clapham yesterday. So yeah, you all know him. It's Al Brown.
Hi folks. I appreciate we've got a bit of admin to do, but if we put pens down just for a moment, that'd be great. We might get booted out of here, is that right? Potentially. We've got 10 minutes, so I'll keep it brief. Good to see you all. Good looking people. I know it's a bit of a culture shock last time you saw me. Many of you probably remember he is a fat Santa. I've shed some pounds. What do you think? As Ed said yesterday, I was at TEDx Clapham. You're all aware that Alex has been working on a mini project, and yesterday was his delivery. It went awesomely. I was fortunate enough to meet a load of awesome people, amazing speakers. I met the co-founder of Movember, a guy called JC, good guy, good tash. He need one, right? I met, anyone seen the Imitation Game? Yeah. I met the woman that saved Bletchley Park from being shut down a few years ago. At one point, she was the most tweeted individual on the planet even, and that was quite interesting. She had an amazing story. I also met a guy called Brian Rose. A few of you saw Brian, full-time team, you saw Brian come in at the Q1 launch beginning of the year. This guy, for me, I'd say, is probably one of the most inspiring individuals I saw yesterday. And really interesting to see his story. Because this is a man who spent most of his life in the finance industry, and one day he decided at a celebratory meal at Richard Branson's house, he had his penny drop moment. He was called by one of his colleagues at the point, and the guy said, "Brian, how are you?" And he looked around the room at this particular point, and his response to his friend was, I've never been surrounded by so many people, yet felt so isolated. His friend's like, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Despite all the financial wealth and the status and the position I'm in, I'm not getting the satisfaction that I'm looking for." He returned to the UK and resigned from his job. He had no backup plan, he had no continued chapter, he had no business plan, but he knew what he didn't want to do because he realised that money for him wasn't a key goal. He set up a company called London Reels. Anyone heard of this? One or two people may have seen it. It's a YouTube channel. So he runs interviews with famous people, big hitters in the kind of business world, and he's got no clear revenue model. So he sacked off this high-paying job and went banzai setting up something that he's passionate about with no clear revenue model. He's probably still working on how to monetize what he's doing at the moment. But his feedback was he doesn't regret a thing, because every day when he gets up, he knows he's backing what he's spending most of his life doing. A few quotes of things that he kind of shared and I made a note of to remind me, and I want to kind of remind you guys, because we're all cut from the same cloth. He said, "Go to where the fear is." So what he meant by that, you know that uncomfortable fear factor you get when you look into the future? How many of you right now are imagining being at sales school, standing in front of everyone? Yeah? Get the shakes a little bit, huh? God, I've got to speak to these people. I've got to look confident. I've got to inspire them to do stuff and look like I know what I'm talking about. That fear factor is where you're going to grow. Chase it. Go for it. That was his advice to me and to the audience. Hunt it out. Don't run away from it. Because if you run away from it, you're not going to become the person you want to be. You're not going to allow yourself to hit that full potential. Another thing he said, he realised when he made that transition, when he decided to break away from this comfort zone he was in, this financial, secure, comfort zone that he found himself in a job that ultimately he'd not got the passion for because the why wasn't strong enough, meant that when he made that transition, friends, colleagues, people around him, they thought he was a little bit nuts. Family thought he was a little bit crazy. And he said, if your friends and your family think you're a little bit crazy, you're probably doing something right. Now, how many of us can look around the room and go, I've been in that place? Think about it. He shared with me exactly the same experiences we've all had on our journey into Champions Life Academy. People like you as you are. Your friends, your family like you as you are. Not necessarily any different. So his advice was, look for your new tribe. Look for the people that back your decisions, that back the fact that you're going to do something different and away from the norm. They're out there. Funny enough, you're surrounded by lots of them right here. But there are more outside that will encourage some of the decisions that you make. Now, I'm not suggesting you're having to swim against the tide on your journey here, but last year maybe you did. And you're going to work with people that are going to go through that same journey themselves. That was an advice from someone that swam against the tide and broke away from it. If your friends and your family think you're a little bit crazy, you're probably doing something right. Go to where the fear is. This is a big year for us, and as you read, it's the first time that I haven't actually been present for a management training session. I gave the keys to the management team. You're probably not aware, or maybe some of you are, but the last few weeks, I'd say the average finishing time for the full-time team in the office, about 10 p.m, I'd say. So I think if the full-time team can stand up, these guys deserve a round of applause for putting the time in and making this happen. As you're aware, my role is going to develop and change, just as yours is. My goal is to spend as much time as possible working on the business, and probably a little bit less time in the business. And fortunately, I'm doing that from a position of strength because it's not a risk. It's not a leap of faith for me to do that because of the talent in the team that's delivering this year. We are 300% stronger factually than we were this time last year. What are we measuring that on? The number of proactive individuals that are keen to be a part of this year's campaign has trebled, and that's you lot. Looking forward to a massive 2015. My advice in this year, in this chapter, from here on, you've all got stuff that you want to crack on with. My advice, when you leave this bubble, distractions, they fly in, and all the other things that perhaps use your time and occupy your schedule, write down your champions' hours. Where are you going to wear your champion's hat outside of this arena when you're back at uni, when you're spending time doing stuff? Be it the social media campaign, be it the bits and pieces that you know you're going to need to do to bring those new, fresh-faced individuals that don't know about Champs yet, that are going to be part of this family very soon. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. And to wrap things up, he needs no introduction. Look at the braces. Round of applause, please, for this man, Mr. James Wood.
Right, thank you very much, Al. Before we do our wrap-up speech, we do need to make sure this room is presentable, because I do have a really interesting idea that I'd like you to leave on, and I don't want you to have to be sat there thinking, oh, we've got to do this, and then we've got to pack up the room. So first things first, if you can make sure the room is completely packed up. I know you need to do your feedback forms, though. They take about 5 minutes to do maximum. I wouldn't do them now, I would do them after this. And then make sure you've handed them in. But it's your responsibilities, ladies and gents, to make sure you've handed back in your stuff. Now, everything needs to be packed up, the room needs to be tidy. The only things we need left out are my laptop and the speakers. Nothing else, ladies and gents. Please hop to it quick as you can.
Your laptop plugged into the screen.
Yes, please.
Just ring the bell. I was like, this guy's. Huh? I think actually learned
Stats.
Yeah.
Stats.
Yeah.
Stats. Everybody loves stats.
Yeah, they did. Go into my feedback. Love stats. I don't remember.
Really, do the chairs need to be moved? Do the chairs need to be moved?
Chairs will do within a moment. Folks, if you sat down, you're not tidying the room. If you're not tidying the room, I'm seriously concerned we're not going to get this done in time.
What actually needs to be
All bags at the back, please, folks. Let's do this as a practice run for going to field, as it were. Ed, if you can get that table pushed against the wall, please.
How would chairs stack?
Don't want the chairs stacked, folks. Once we've got them out, once we've got everything else out of the way, I'll explain what we're doing with the chairs.